You ever see that Bill Murray movie Groundhog Day? I'm sure you have, where your character is basically stuck doing the same things over and over again. Why does comics feel like that? Hey there, this is Perch. This is one of those videos that's absolutely going to get downvotes and irritate kind of a group of audience. But try and take what I'm about to say in the spirit in which it's intended, which is not to call anybody out or make you feel bad or point any fingers or anything else, but more just um, I've talked about in the past about giving away your power, about losing perspective, about getting so wound up in the fight or kind of the drama of the situation that you start to lose perspective. And the other thing you start to lose is your originality. It starts to come off as very, very repetitive, very much the same every single time. And what I'm trying to convey here is that if it sounds like you're saying the same thing over and over and over, people stop listening. Not start stop. They stop listening to you altogether. They just it becomes a wash. And this is kind of the biggest kind of plea, advice, request I have for a lot of fans right now who are frustrated with comics. Don't let yourself fall into this trap of just sounding like a broken record and sounding like, hey, I don't like this, I don't like this. If you do, very soon what happens is your nice, good suggestions, your well thought out ideas, your the things you have that would improve the industry, it gets lost. Your opinion as a fan gets lost. You just kind of get lumped into the guy who's always complaining, and that doesn't help you. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help comics. And it's important to me. It's vitally important that your voice remains alive. That you don't become a wash in the sea. I want you to be well armed with good information and good data, so you can make your arguments in a compelling, good way. And most importantly, I want you to be able to not sound, like a broken record. And I mean, a good example of this is, right now, in my opinion, the big two publishers in particular, Marvel and DC, one of the areas that unequivocally, they're doing a poor job on is marketing. Their marketing isn't landing well with people anywhere. And this has nothing to do with the content and what they're doing with this character or that character, or whether they've got this writer or that writer. It's about how are they presenting their product in a way that's going to get maximum attention and promote maximum value to what they produce. And the big problem is over the last couple of years, they've gone to the well. They've become repetitive as well. They've said things like, "This event, nothing will ever be the same ever again after this event. A major hero will die," and those things, it is the same after. And the changes are short lived, and the characters who die come right back to life. In some cases, before the event's even over. I've mentioned before, Fear itself was abysmal in that the shock deaths in issue 3, I believe, I think it was issue 3 where Bucky Cap dies, was undone in the epilogue, but before the event was finished. And it's like, and you might have blinked. It's like, hey, Loki died in Siege, and you might not know that or remember that because by the time the next event rolled around, he was alive and kicking. So if you just read event to event, it's like it does not even matter. And unfortunately, the marketing, the hype of these events has been so breathless, so over the top, that the fans, the readers, the stores, the buyers, they've learned to just completely ignore it. They've become white noise. And I think that in terms of, and then it's just across the board with marketing, even little events, I think it's gotten to the point where they don't land their message with fans. But on the other hand, or not on the other hand, but as well, when the Marvel throws out some, and it's more Marvel than DC, when they throw out some press release, like a good example of this is in a very, very playful way, Nick Lowe, the editor of Runaways, posted a video like, who is, was it Captain J or Doc J, I think, and the J team, who's this new superhero group? This is going to be as big as the Avengers and the X-Men, kind of some deliberate tongue-in-cheek kind of sarcastic hype. for this new superhero team that was coming out. And if you look closely at the image, you realized, oh, it's the Runaways. They're just in superhero costumes. And if you read the solicits, it's the Runaways are in going to be joining a superhero team in Los Angeles. And so that's the story. He's promoting a storyline, and he's trying to do it in a fun, lighthearted, joke kind of way that pokes fun at previous Marvel marketing, and also just kind of fits the general Runaways theme. And they're in California, so the hype fits. I mean, just the marketing itself was you know good to benign. In other words, it fit the characters, it fit the environment, and it was benign in the idea that if you didn't really care about the Runaways or any of this stuff, very easy to avoid it. And yet, when they did this, the response on social media was a very predictable. Marvel can't do anything right. Marvel, this is you. Marvel expects me to buy this. I'm not spending my hard-earned dollar on this. And I get it because people have been burned so much. But at this point, it almost becomes like a double trolling where Marvel tosses stuff out they're not fully serious about. It gets a reaction from fans who are angry about it. The fans in turn troll Marvel back. Marvel gets angry about it, and everybody's just kind of, you know, they're just peeing on each other all day long. And none of this improves the content of the comics. The unfortunate reality is, these comics are still getting churned out with low sales numbers and over high cover prices. And so the continual statement of like, what's Marvel even thinking? Every single time, like, rather than immediately jump to that reaction, why not try and figure it out? Because people are getting gamed as well. This Runaways thing was, a bunch of people were like, oh, I can't believe Marvel thinks another new team book is important. They haven't even, what is this one going to be in humans based too? And then people are like getting viscerally outraged about this new book, but there wasn't a new book. It was just a storyline in the Runaways coming up. But people are automatically jumping to the conclusion that Marvel's shoving some new kind of book down their throats, and then people are like, we're pre-speculating. It's like, oh, how many gay Latino characters will be in this one? The answer, of course, is none. It's Victor Mancha is well, I mean, also a robot, Ultron kind of creation. So, and not gay, but regardless, the point is, people the fans are automatically kind of getting immediately into serious mode with this stuff and getting pre-outraged and angry and jumping at it. And then that creates another flood of like, this is why I'm only doing crowdfunding books in the future. Cool, great. You should actually do the things you want to do in the future, but we got as a larger community, everybody just needs to dial it down just a bit, because it's creating a what should be funny but it's not, spin cycle of somebody's angry, somebody teases, somebody's angry again, they tease again. It's going nowhere. It's going around in a circle. And I think it makes everybody involved look foolish. The whole Runaways situation. I mean, Nick Lowe and some of the people in Marvel are like, Jesus, look at these crazy people, like, who are just immediately picking up their torches and getting ready to burn down the company for having this new teen book. It was a joke. It was just a thing. And on the other hand, again, to be fair, Marvel's marketing has burned so many people so frequently with kind of over the top nonsense crap that it's not surprising people are behaving this way. It's not surprising that people are jumping to these kinds of reactions. At no part of this am I going, wow, I mean, Marvel's done absolutely everything perfectly. I don't know why any fans are upset at this. Nobody is saying that, because there's a clear track record, a clear road of how we got here. But somebody has to blink first. And unfortunately, the corporation, Marvel or DC in this case, neither one of them are it's going to be very hard for them to blink first, because they're sitting there with, in my opinion, they're sitting there with just a void of any kind of positive marketing. They don't have a good bench. They're working from behind, and that they've burned a lot of their bridges with a lot of their core fans and old time fans. They're trying to promote things new in a place that's ever changing. The whole publishing world is changing right now. So that's yet another problem they have. And I mean, it's just, there's very little they can do to improve their situation other than week by week, month by month, rebuild credibility with the fans around the marketing. And bear in mind, if hopefully if you're quote unquote on the other side and you're listening to all this, you'll notice I didn't say a single word about uh, genders of creators or characters or sexuality or any of that kind of stuff. That is almost beside the point in a lot of cases. I'm talking purely very, very simple. Market a book. You've got a book. How are you going to put it out? You've got a new title. How are you going to make it succeed? You've got an existing title. How do you keep readers involved? You have an event you want to do. How do you get interest without making it sound like you're, blowing up the world, which everybody knows you're not going to do? How do you restore credibility into your pitch, your story to the audience? And it's something that both companies are in desperate need of doing if they want to succeed. And where the fans are concerned, I think we as fans, as people who are reading and buying, we have to accept the fact that things are not going to happen fast. And what we need to, help and assist and promote good behavior on is taking positive steps, one foot in front of the other. Every single day, there should be attempts to rebuild, regrow this universe. And where you see them, praise them. And where you don't see them, certainly call them out, but just be cautious of getting suckered into getting outraged over things that are either non-events or deliberately intended to be kind of fun and lighthearted. The funny part about comic companies and fans is a lot of fans have stated they wish the comic companies would be more fun and lighthearted and remember what they enjoy about comics. And I agree. I think that's important. That's good. That's what people should do. But that means when they are fun and lighthearted, we've got to give them the opportunity to tell a bad joke. If they do it wrong, we need to react with, "Hey, that was a bad joke," or that I'm not really interested in this, or no, that's too soon, or whatever it might be, and not immediately react with the, "I am calling for a boycott of every single comic on the history of the earth and in time," which is where a lot of folks jump to. And like I said, it's all about keeping your power, keeping your voice, and not getting drowned out. You want your opinions to matter, and if you sound like a broken record, your opinions stop mattering to people. Shouldn't be, but they do. People don't know how to parse kind of repetitiveness. Anyway, that's my take. I think that's what I'm just asking for. I recommend we've got to figure out a way together, all of us, of how we can look at these things, read, assess, look at things with fresh eyes, and still demand excellence. I mean, the other part of all this too is that at the end of the day, we should be pushing hard for great comics, for excellence and better work. And when it gets better, then we should be pushing to get even better and just continue that upward climb. That's what it's all about. So maybe a message of optimism. Maybe people are a little butthurt right now because they feel like I called them out. I don't know. Hopefully not. What do you think? Like, subscribe, click the bell for notification, give me a comment. Let's figure this out together. Thank you for listening.